everybody. I'd like to welcome you back. In my last video, we was going to replace that cab brace. Of course, we got that thing cut off there. Found a little bit of rust on the inside rocker panel. But we got that thing cut out. Got it ready to weld on. In this video, we're going to weld it on. Now I think we're going to replace part of the floor pan right there and go ahead and get that cap mount brace put on in this video here. We'll make us a small piece on that floor pan too where it welds up to. If you guys have been with me on the progress of this old truck, we've come a pretty good ways on it. And I'd like to thank everybody who's stuck with me what little bit of time I've been making videos, watching the progress of this truck. And if you're new here, well, that's exactly what I'm doing. Trying to restore an old pickup truck with not a lot of money and basic tools that pretty much everybody will have, minus the plasma cutter. But you could pick one of them up about $125. I got that one off, hell, I think Amazon. Works great though. But again, I'd like to thank everybody for watching, especially if you've been following the journey with this old truck. Yeah, let's get on here and get this job started so we can finish it up. Move on to something else. There's always something. Thank you, guys. Let's get that piece welded on there. Alrighty, everybody. We got a little touch up to do on some spots, but got that piece welded on. The back side, I ain't finished with it. We got to come through and finish up right here. I got to finish up down here. I'll tell you what it looks like from the front. But it is looking pretty good. So it turned out real good. Got it blended in. So I'm happy with that. Turned out nice. Can't even really tell that it's been patched. And I know you guys can see the hole right there. Went ahead and cut out some spots that I didn't like. We're going to replace this whole piece right here. Got rid of that rust that was down here. All this down through here is good. Now we're going to go through and replace this here. It was rusted out on that. So I went ahead and cut that out. Got that done on the front. I still got to come back through. We got to clean this here. Clean the paint off in there. And we got to weld these holes up here. And then finish up some spots right here that I don't like. And then right now we're going to go and cut out this piece here for the floorboard. Got it up over here. I ain't decided yet if I'm going to take the plasma cutter and cut it or just use the cutoff wheel. I don't know. A lot faster to use the plasma cutter. Hard to keep a straight line with a plasma cutter unless I put me a stop out here, straight edge, so I can follow it. But yeah, here's the gauge metal that we're using. It's brand new. It's got some surface rust on it I need to clean up, but I'm sitting out here in the shop floor. But yeah, let me get you set up and get this piece right here cut out. Got it set up there. We're going to use the plasma cutter. I like to set it up the way that I got it. Use a little bit of a straight edge right there. I just got a piece of aluminum. But that way I can just lay the gun on top of it and cut. Let's see how it works. Alrighty. Clean up the edges a little bit. And there's our patch. Got our piece cut out here. Got it cleaned up. So, what we got to do now is we've got to put a bend in that piece of metal right here. And that bend is right there. You can see it right here. And it goes back that way. But the floorboard comes across the rocker panel and it shoots up. So we got to put that bend in it right there. So we got to take and measure it about where that bend comes out. It's looking like about an 1.25 inches. And then about an inch there. So it's like an 1.25 inches here, about where that bend starts, and about an inch right there. We're coming from the end of our panel here, which is as far as the floor pan of the truck comes out. So you pull measurement from the here. And we're just worried about the bend right here. So if it's an 1.25 inches here and an inch here, we're going to go about 1.125 and start a mild bend in that. And then we'll bring it over here and see if it's about the right bend. So let's get everything set up. We're going to bend it to 1.125 on this end down here. Let's see. Hang on to it. See there, we got to have that bend put in it. Now this piece right here is still long left to right. We'll go ahead and put our bend in it down here, get that right, and then we'll trim off the excess up here. So let's get everything set up and put that little radius in it right here. You can see it right there. All right, so we want our bend to come up 1.125. So we're going to measure up 1.125. And we're going to mark us a line. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to get it set up. You take your metal. You've got where you want to bend it at. Actually, we're going to put that on both sides. Let's do that real quick. Let's put this on both sides. Make it easier on all of us. We don't want to use the metal bender I got because I don't need a sharp break. I need it to kind of roll very gently into whatever that radius is over there. So now we're going to take and put our got a piece of flat stock here. This piece of metal right here came with the metal bender over there from Harbor Freight. So it's perfect to use right here. And I just use the straight edge of my table. So what you're going to do is you're going to line this line up here with your table edge. And that's why I put the mark on both sides so I can get in there and look and make sure the table edge is right on this black line. And then we are going to maneuver this up and level it up with the line as well. So let me get the camera and stuff set up and we'll do that. We'll bend it, start rolling this piece over. All right. I put 2 of these, hell, that's probably a 1/4 inch thick, big piece of plate steel. I typically, well, I don't typically, I do. I put it on the bottom of the table here so my vice grips don't crush in the bottom of my table. Basically, let's go ahead and get her vice grip on here, or vice grip, our clamp, our C-clamp. Get it ready to go. I don't want to tighten it down too much because I want to be able to move it. All I'm doing is putting another same deal over here. See, it may already be too tight. There we go. So now we are going to line up our lines here. Get our about right in there. We look underneath to make sure we're lined up on the bottom. And I see, yeah. So I'm putting this piece of metal flush with that black line that we put on there. And then the line underneath here should be lined up with the corner of our table. It looks like it needs to come out just higher. There we go. Okay. Okay, it looks like it right there. Let's tighten everything down. One of the keys here is making sure that you are tight. Tight. You do not want that metal to slide out. The piece you're bending, you do not want that to move. You want that to stay still. So tight, guys. Alright, that should be good. We're not moving. Lined up there. And we are still lined up there. So it may take us a time or two, but I'm just gonna use some regular old metal bending pliers like these. These are El Cheapos, Harbor Freight. They make better, but this is what I'm using. And then you just basically get your metal and start making a roll. We do not need to go far. Go a little bit more than that. Let's go a little bit more. I don't want to go too much more. Let's see what that does. So you got a piece of metal here, and it's not putting a sharp 90 in that. That's a slight roll right there, and that matches up with the way this truck's bent. Now, if I'd have done that on the metal, that little cheap metal brake over there, does perfect, does fine, but it puts such a sharp 90, perfect 90, but it doesn't match the lines of the truck over here. Let's see what this did. Let's see if it fits here. Zoom out a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Goodness. So got a piece of metal here. Looks like you line up the pieces there. It's hard to do this holding the camera too, but I can line it all up here. It looks like yet. Now, I can't see nothing. Shit. So we're bent a little much. See here how it's lifted up? That's okay. We can straighten that out. I'll show you that in just a second. Now that I know I got pretty much the right angle and the bend is in the right spot, we need to measure and cut this off here. That way we can just set it in there. So let's do that before we start trying to straighten it. We want it flush right in here and we'll straighten that out. Let me get it out and get this piece here trimmed off, measured out, and we'll cut you back on. Alrighty. Since that right there is too much of an angle on our bend, put it in the vise here. And we're just going to pull back on it just a little bit and straighten our bend out. Just a little. We don't want to go too much. Let me put you in the stand here. Yeah, we don't want to go too much there. Okay. All I did was I lined it up on the line right there in the vise. Bring it back over here and see how that fits now. A little bit at a time. And I think I can hold this. Let me put it down here like that. I think that's right. I have to get it clamped up to make for sure. But yeah. That's all I'm doing when I make those pieces on the table. Now I could have probably just clamped it up in the vise. No more than what we had to do right there. But you kind of want them rounder, longer radius bends. Because the way this truck is made, that's what it has. They're not real crisp and sharp. They're just round. Everything's got a curve to the bend instead of just a sharp angle. But so what we're going to do now is go ahead and get this thing. I'll have to paint this top lip right here and the top of our piece that we made. That way when it goes back together, we got something on here. And I'll probably drill 3 holes in this piece so we can weld it down to this. And yeah, keep on chugging. Let's put some holes in this new part here. Alrighty, got our holes in there, spot weld holes. Clean the burrs off on the back and I'll cut you back on. We got the burrs cleaned off on that. And I went ahead and put 3 coats of primer and 3 coats of black on our piece here. Now what we got to do now is I still have got to put the black, or paint this right here, primer and paint this. But what we're going to do first is we are going to get our holes here that we put in this part. We're going to go ahead and get this tacked on to the outer rocker panel here. We'll put us a clamp right here and pinch it together and weld those two. Take a clamp off and weld that one. And I gotta come up here and touch up that spot there. I think that's all. I gotta get that spot there. I think that's okay. And I gotta get back in here. I'll be able to come through the hole here and get that and get all that looking good there. Alright, got all that welded up there. Got all this back in here fixed up. Fixed up here. Got all this up in here done. Now, I have went ahead and put 3 coats of primer and 3 coats of black on that. And what we're going to do now is while that's drying, we're going to put some holes in our thing here. There's always something to do, just got to keep busy. Okay, so we got us some holes put in there so we can spot weld the ends of this to our rocker panel when we get ready to. Alright, so we got our piece clamped up there. Got a little bit bigger of a gap than I want, but that's what it took for me to get that lined up there. There it is here. See, I don't always do everything perfect. See, I got my holes off here. Gap's good down here, but it's too big up here. I think either I cut one of the two, either where I cut the truck's kind of crooked or the panel I made's kind of crooked. But that's okay. I think we can get it welded. And if anything on the bigger gaps up here, we'll put a piece of filler in. But what we're going to do right now is probably start spotting this in between these clamps here and getting this thing welded on there. I'm going to put my big old C clamp right here and push down on it right here. But yeah, not always does your cuts go as planned, but that's okay. We'll get it welded up. Let's see if we can get some welds on the front side of that patch panel. I done already welded some on the back, so let's get some welded on the front. And I went ahead and used some filler, like I showed you in that other video, on the back. So let's get the front welded on there so we can get the grinding this off, so we can get ready to get that brace on there. Alrighty, got that welded on there. Went ahead and got it ground down, smoothed up a little bit. Good enough to where we can move on to the next part. We'll come back and touch all that up, but it is on there, welded on. Got the back side finished up and ground down. Now what we're going to start doing is getting our brace, our cab brace. Go ahead and get it clamped on there and figure out how we're going to weld it on. Alrighty, everybody, let's get ready to put our brace end on here. Went ahead and painted that black. Painted down in there. It's nasty down in there. I painted in there as far as I could get. You can't see. And I painted that there. And our patch is right here. You can see it. But for the most part, our thing there covers our patch. And I ran out of flat black, so I had to get the gloss, but it's the same kind, just gloss black. I got a couple cans of that, tried to get rid of it. That stuff's about 10-year-old, but it works still, so. But yeah, went ahead and got that painted, so when we put it on there, we'll have something underneath it. Got it painted back in there as far as I could get, and got inside our brace there painted. So I'm going to get the brace put on there and get it clamped on, and I'll cut you back on, and we will get this thing welded on there. Finish this video up. Alright, I think we got it set up here. Got a couple magnets there holding it on. Went ahead and got it level, as this one is. But I went over this before. There's other ways to do this. This is a way that I've been shown to help, and it works good. If you cut your part too short and you got too big of a gap here, take your piece of metal. This is just a regular scrap piece, and you can stick it in between there. And that way, when you go to weld this here, you've got something that you weld to stick to real fast, so you don't blow through. And basically what you're going to do is you're going to melt this piece here in the center. So as you're attaching these two pieces, this is so thin, this piece will melt and it'll give you a good weld without blowing through and having a ton of wire hanging through here and it looking like ice warmed over. You can just come through now and weld it. That's the way that I found. You can close that gap up, but for this, put a piece of filler in here and then we'll weld that up. I'll show you. It works good. It holds just as good. It just is a lot faster. You're not wasting wire blowing through your gap there. Alrighty, we got that thing on there. And it turned out pretty good. And we gotta come back through and do all our painting and stuff, but that'll be at a later date. We will come back through and do all that. I don't have all my lights. I got one right here. So it is on there. I have to come back through and clean up our paint here. The reason why I painted is I won't paint under it. It'll burn it off around through where we weld. That's okay. We'll come back through and scratch all this off, and when we do the bottom of the truck, we'll get over here where we can reach. I just want to get where I can't reach. And it is what it is. This truck's going to live inside anyway. It won't never stay outside as long as I've got it. And we got two brand new cab brace ends on there. Got the inside here. Got it all done. Got our new patch. All this stuff has to be cleaned up still better. We'll do that coming up. Our little patch we made there does good. But I think for now this job is finished. Made this and got it put on, cut that rust out there. Got rid of that rust up through here and down through here. And got our new cab brace in on there, made this piece. And I think the next thing we're going to do is this floor pan right here is pretty solid. But it does have some deep pitting going on right down through here. So we'll probably wind up and cut this out because it's pretty good. Needs to be cleaned up, but it's pretty good on down through there. That'll be for another video though. But as for this video here, looks like we can go ahead and button this video up. We'll come back through and we'll weld up where that piece of trim goes down when the carpet and stuff's in it. We'll weld them up, that way we can drill some new holes for the new piece when we get to that point. But all in all that work to put that little end on there. But I want all the rust out of it, so that's what we're going to do. Well guys, there we have it. Got that brace put on there. Took a little longer than what I thought to get this one done. But we made two patch panels on this, and they turned out pretty good. There's a little bit more touching up I got to do on some of those welds there, but I think that's good enough to get the video done. A lot of welding in this job here. But pretty much, that's all of the rust. I think I am. In my next video, we're going to get in here and cut that little bit of that floor pan out and just get some pits out that I don't like. Other than that, all of the rust holes are now done on the cab of this truck. All that's really left to do is clean the bottom of it and get the cab under some primer. I still need to get the paint and stuff off of everything on the interior. Still got some on the exterior. But as far as bad rust, alive rust that's eating holes in the truck, it's right now gone after that job there. Like I said, got some pits that I'm going to fix on the driver's side floor pan over here. And that'll be my next video. But I hope you guys enjoy. I know it's kind of rinse and repeat with these videos, but basically that's what we're doing right now. We're doing a lot of fabrication and rust repair. But coming up soon, we're going to get the bed of the truck in here and get that thing going. But I think I'm going to go ahead and get this cab at least all the way under primer. So I really do appreciate you guys watching. And there ain't nothing to this stuff. You just got to have the willpower to do it and know you're going to mess up some. I'm not perfect. I mess up all the time. I may not show all of it. But again, it's just metal. You can cut it and weld a piece of new in there. And one thing about it, you'll learn how to use a welder doing stuff like this. Now, is what I'm doing all the right way to do it? I couldn't tell you. But I've done it in the past on some stuff, and it works out pretty good. And I know it's going to work out good on this truck here. I'd like to thank y'all for tuning in and watching the progress of this job here. And one day we're going to have us a nice 69 Ford F100. But tune in next week, or my next video. I always say next week and I don't get them done in time. But next video, we're probably going to tackle this driver's side flooring pan over here. And that's it. Pretty much done with the cab as far as rust, cutting, and welding. But anyhow, my name's Stacy over at Dirt Floor Garage 79, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.